Hello, my gorgeous girls, and welcome back to Unstuck and Friggin' Fabulous, podcast number 75. I am Irene Lidval, and today I want to talk about something we don't speak nearly enough about. Passion. Yes, passion. You know, what happened to the woman who felt so alive? Imagine this: music playing in your ears, snow falling around you, skiing and dancing on skis through the forest, completely free and completely alive. What a magnificent part of that was me. And you're right, passion is life elixir. It doesn't merely give us something to do, but it returns us to ourselves. And you know, that woman, that girl who did that, she hasn't disappeared. My gorgeous friend, she's still there. Perhaps no longer collecting fist points, but still brave, adventurous, and willing to find another way up the mountain when the lifts aren't running. So that's passion. Passion at its core. Not romantic passion, although I'm certainly not against that. I mean, the kind of passion that makes you feel completely and utterly alive. The thing you love so much that you don't need to motivate yourself to do it. Nobody has to remind you, and nobody has to hold you accountable. You don't need a planner or a vision board or a habit tracker or an alarm on your phone. You just want to do it. You wake up thinking about it. You go to bed thinking about it. You lose track of time while you're doing it. And for me, for many, many years, that passion was skiing. My God, I loved skiing. And I was lucky enough to have skiing part of my job. And I don't mean that I enjoyed going on a nice little ski holiday, wearing a fabulous outfit, having a hot chocolate and taking a few photographs with a mountain in the background. No, 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 no. It was my job. I was a ski guide and I did ski as a ski guide and I skied for pleasure and I just loved it so much. I was competing and I was totally part of it. And I mean, absolutely, completely passionate about skiing. Rain, sunshine, sleet, freezing cold. I did not care. I wanted to be out there. I became very good at it because I loved it enough to keep doing it. I skied on my days off with the junior team because I was so happy to ski as fast as possible. And we used to start from the top of the mountain and ski until we were steaming because the young kids, they had the energy and so did I. I collected fist points with the dream of competing in the World Cup for Austria. And it was such a challenge. It was so invigorating to meet all these famous skiers and ski with them. I trained, I practiced, I pushed myself, and I learned how to dance on skis. Because some days, it was just nothing exceptional going on, and I just wanted to feel that I could do something different. So I learned how to dance on skis and become a pretzel doing it. And I have to tell you, it was really funny because there were so many guys that wanted to ski with me, and I just didn't want to have a little hang on. So I showed them a little trick how to cross over your skis, and then I left them because they couldn't get out of it. Yeah, that was mean, Irene. But that is the only way I can describe it, the passion. Because I wasn't simply going down a mountain. I was dancing with it, absolutely dancing with it, and I was so thrilled. There was this extraordinary feeling when I found my rhythm. Do you know what? Michael Jackson, bad in the mogul field. the skis, the snow, my body, the mountains. It all became one movement. And I was thinking about, no, nothing. I was just trying to come down the mountains the best I could. We call it snow secure, where you actually can plan your route in the mogul field, not looking down at the tips of your skis. And that applies to life as well. You have to look ahead or you will crash out. So that's what I was thinking about. I didn't think about what I looked like. I wasn't worried about whether I was doing it right. I was just planning ahead, going down the mogul field. And I wasn't comparing myself to somebody else at all. And I wasn't asking if I was too old, too young, too ambitious, too much, or not enough at all. I was simply there, planning my way down the mogul field, pleasantly present and completely present, completely free, completely alive, not a thought about how I looked or what I was going to do later or if I had done or if I was going to. No, I focused on my route. I was planning ahead to get down the mountains. And even when the weather was dreadful, I still wanted to ski. There was nothing that could keep me away from the mountains. And when the lifts couldn't run because there was a snow blizzard, I didn't say, oh, well, I suppose that's it for today. No, 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 no. This chickadee, she walked up the mountain. Yes, I walked up. I put my skis over my shoulders. I climbed up and skied through the forest because the vision is much better in the forest, especially if there is a wipeout or a snow blizzard, because you have references. And that applies to life too, doesn't it? So I turned on my music and I disappeared into my own little world. Snow falling around me, trees on either side of me, music playing, my heart beating, and I was doing the thing I loved. Nobody had to watch me. There was no applause. There was no Instagram post. There was no reward waiting for me at the bottom. The experience itself was the reward for me. And that, my girls, is passion. Passion is what you would still want to do even if nobody knew you were doing it. It's the thing that connects you to yourself so deeply that the rest of the world seems to disappear for a while. And as I've been thinking about those years, I realized that perhaps we don't always miss the activity itself, but the feeling. Sometimes we miss the woman we were when we were doing it. I miss skiing, of course, but I also remember her determination, her freedom, and her courage, and her willingness to walk up a mountain in a bloody snowstorm because the ski lift wasn't working. She didn't wait for perfect conditions. She didn't say, well, the weather is bad, so perhaps I'll begin next Monday. She didn't need life to make it convenient for her. She found another way up the mountain. And I think many of us reach a point in life when we begin to wonder, what happened to that woman? What happened to the woman who became excited about things? What happened to the woman who would lose herself in something she loved? Where did she go? Maybe it was dancing for you. Maybe it was painting. Maybe you loved horses, cooking, traveling, gardening, music, or building something with your hands. Perhaps you had big, big ideas. Perhaps you wanted to create a business, write a book, or see the world. And then life happened. Marriage happened. Children happened. And bills happened. Caring for everyone else happened. And illness. And then we have the big menopause happen. Disappointment happened. And without consciously deciding to, You slowly became more practical and less passionate. It is so sad. It is so sad to lose your passion. Your days filled up with responsibilities. You became very good at doing what needed to be done. You remember the appointments. You bought the groceries. You paid the bills. You solved everybody's problem. You made sure people around you were all right. But where did you go? What became of your life? Where did your passion go? Did you stop asking yourself, what makes me feel alive? Not what I'm good at, not what is useful, not what will make money, what will make other people happy or approve of you, but what makes me feel alive. Alive. Because passion does not always have to be productive. Trust me on that. It doesn't need to become a business. You don't have to monetize it or package it or teach it or create a 5-step bloody program about it. You're allowed to love something simply because you love it. Imagine that. You're allowed to do something badly and still enjoy it. You're allowed to be a beginner. You're allowed to return to something after 30 years. And you're allowed to discover that the things you loved in the past maybe no longer suits the person you are today. But you are allowed to find a completely new passion at any age. Passion does not have an expiry date. But here is what I believe happens to many of us. We wait for passion to arrive like some enormous bolt of lightning. We think we need to discover our one great purpose. And because we can't immediately identify it, we conclude that we no longer have any passion. But perhaps passion isn't always found. Maybe it is created. Perhaps it begins with curiosity. A tiny little spark, a quiet thought that says, that looks interesting. I wonder what that would feel like. I used to enjoy that. I love to try it, but, and there it is, that little word. I love to try it, but I'm too old. I love to do it, but I'm not fit enough. I love to go, but nobody will come with me. I love to learn, but I might look foolish. I love to start, but what if I'm not good at it? Oh, my girls, passion cannot survive if we strangle every spark with a sensible reason why it won't work. You don't need to know whether something will become your great passion before you begin. You only need enough curiosity to take the first step. You only need to attend the class, book the lesson, buy the paints, put on the music, write the first page, or simply walk into a room full of strangers to see how it feels. You never know until you try it. Because you rarely think your way into passion. Trust me on this, my darling. You experience your way into it. When I first began skiing, I didn't know exactly where it would take me. I didn't know how good I would become. I only knew that I loved it enough to return day after day. And then I returned again and again and again. That love made me willing to practice. It made me willing to fall down and get back up. It made me willing to be uncomfortable. It made effort feel meaningful. That is the beautiful thing about passion. It doesn't mean everything is easy. No, no, no. It means something matters enough that the difficulty is worth it. Passion is not the absence of hard work. Oh no, trust me on that one. When I traversed up the mountain to remember the gates when we were competing, I'm telling you, my butt was so strong and my legs were so strong. And I did it because I loved it. Nobody paid me to do it. I did because I wanted to. It is the reason that you are willing to do the the hard work is because you love it. I walked up the mountain in a blizzard because what was waiting for me mattered more than the inconvenience of getting there. Remember that. And perhaps that is a question we can ask ourselves today. What matters enough for me to climb for it? What would I make time for? What would I be willing to look silly learning? What would I do even if nobody applauded? And when was the last time I felt completely alive? Think about that one. When was the last time you felt so absorbed in something that you forgot to check your phone? When did you last feel excited to wake up? When did you last laugh from your belly? When did you last surprise yourself? Not impress somebody else. Surprise yourself. We, I mean, we often say we want to find ourselves again, but perhaps what we really need is to place ourselves in situations where we can meet a new version of ourselves. You might not become the woman you were 30 years ago, and you're not supposed to. I'm not asking you to recreate your past. No, 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 no. I'm asking you to remember the qualities you had when you felt most alive, when you were most brave, playful, adventurous, focused, and when she was free, when she willingly took risks, because those qualities have not disappeared. No, they may have been buried underneath routine, responsibilities, and years of putting yourself last, but they still belong to you. That girl who danced on skis is still part of me. I may not be standing on the exact mountain today, but my courage is still mine, and my determination is still mine, and my willingness to find another way when the lift didn't run is still mine. And that is true for you too. The woman you remember has not left you. She may simply need an invitation to come forward again. And sometimes passion changes shape. Perhaps your body can't do what it once did. Perhaps your circumstances have changed. Perhaps the old dream no longer fits. That doesn't mean you're passionate. Years are over. It means you get to ask new questions. How can I experience that feeling now, today, this season where I am now? If skiing gave me freedom, where can I find freedom today? If dancing made me feel sensual and joyful, how can you bring more of that feeling into your life now? And if travel gave you adventure, what new experience could wake up that adventurous part of you? If building a business gave you purpose, what could you create or contribute today? You know, the activity may change, and the feeling is the clue. What did your passion give you? Ask yourself that. Did it give you freedom? Did it challenge you? Did it give you beauty or connection with other people or movement or creativity or purpose? Purpose, it's a big one, right? Find the feeling, darling, and then look for new ways to experience it. And please don't make this another project where you put pressure on yourself to find your passion by Friday. We don't need a passion performance plan with 12 measurable outcomes and a color coded spreadsheet. No, God, no. This is about becoming curious about your own life again. My friend, start small. This week, make a list of 5 things that have made you feel alive at different times in your life. Not things you were praised for, not things you have achieved, but things you loved. Then look at that list and ask, what did these experiences have in common? Who was I when I was doing them? And what is one tiny way I could bring that feeling back into my life today? Maybe it's turning on the music and dancing in your kitchen. Maybe it's booking a weekend somewhere you've never been. Maybe it's joining a group, taking a class, or going for a walk somewhere beautiful. Maybe it's opening the notebook and writing again. And maybe it's calling the friend who makes you laugh until your mascara runs. Passion often returns through action, not enormous action, just enough movement to remind your soul that you are still here. Because life is not only about staying safe, paying bills, and getting through the week. No, no, no. We are not here merely to exist efficiently. Ooh, that makes me shiver. We are here to experience our lives, to love, laugh, explore, create, to feel the wind in our hair and the music in our bodies, to have movement when we think, oh, yes, this is me. This is what it feels like to be alive, my darling. My gorgeous girl, if you have been feeling flat, bored, or disconnected from yourself, there is nothing wrong with you. You may not need to fix yourself. You may simply need something to look forward to, something that belongs to you, something that wakes up the part of you that has been sleeping. You don't need permission. You don't need company. You don't need the perfect conditions. Sometimes, my darling, the lifts won't be running, and sometimes the weather will feel terrible. And sometimes other people won't understand why something matters so much to you. Put your skis over your shoulders anyhow. Find another way up the mountain. Turn on your music. Step into your own beautiful world and dance and feel it. Because the woman you are becoming does not need to live without passion. She's allowed to feel excited again. She's allowed to want more than comfort and routine. She's allowed to do things for no other reason than they make her heart beat a little faster. Perhaps becoming her again isn't about finding one huge purpose. Perhaps it begins with following the smallest spark of aliveness and trusting it to show you the way. So, my darling, this week I want you to ask yourself, what once made you feel alive? And what are you curious about today? And what is one thing you can do? Not someday, not when life becomes less busy, but this week, to bring a little passion back into your life. Then go and do it. Badly, imperfectly, nervously, whatever. Whatever it is, just do it. Just begin. Your passion may not look like mine. You might not want to walk up a mountain in a blizzard carrying skis. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure I want to do that either today. But I will never forget that woman I was in that forest. Music playing, snow falling, my body moving, my heart completely full. I wasn't waiting for life to begin. I was living it. I also want to say something very important here. Not everyone finds one great passion. Not everyone has a single thing that makes them leap out of bed every morning, ready to climb a mountain in a snowstorm. And that does not mean there is anything missing in you. We hear so much about finding your passion that it can begin to sound like another bloody assignment. Find your purpose, find your passion, discover your calling, build your dream. Good grief. Some days we're simply trying to remember why we walked into the kitchen. You may never have one enormous, all consuming passion. You may have several smaller things that brings you pleasure at different stages of your life. You may love gardening for a while, then travel, then painting, then volunteering, then learning something completely new. Your passion may not roar, it may whisper. It may simply be the cup of coffee you enjoy in the morning sun, the book you cannot put down, the dog you love walking, the conversation that lights you up, or the feeling of creating something with your hands. Perhaps passion isn't always a dramatic calling. Sometimes it is simply an interest that makes life feel a little richer. And sometimes, especially after illness, grief, burnout, or difficult life transition, passion can feel very far away. And during those seasons, your job is not to force yourself to feel excited. Your job may simply be to notice what feels good, what gives you a little energy instead of taking it away, what makes you curious, what brings you peace, what makes you want to stay for 5 minutes longer. I want you to follow that. You do not need to discover the one thing you were put on this earth to do. You only need to keep noticing what brings a little more life into your life. Passion can be wonderful, but a meaningful life is not reserved for people who have found one. You're not behind, you're not boring, and you are certainly not failing at life because you cannot name your passion. Curiosity, my darling, that's enough, and pleasure is enough. Interest is enough, and a tiny spark is enough. And if all you have right now is the willingness to explore, begin there. And that, my girl, is what I want for all of us. Not a perfect life, not an endless productive life, a life that feels alive. And I want to thank you for being here with me today. And if this episode reminded you of something you once loved or sparked an idea about something you would love to try, please send me a message and tell me. I would genuinely love to know, what is your mountain? And what makes you dance? And what passion are you ready to welcome back into your life? Until next time, my gorgeous girl, keep choosing yourself, keep following what makes you feel alive, and become unstuck and friggin' fabulous. I'll speak to you next week. Don't forget, hit like and share and follow me. Until then, talk to you.